And looking at dance and other kinds of form, contact gonzo, or in fact a Japanese group, taking contact improvisation into a kind of fight club motif. The Hong Kong City Contemporary Dance Company, you can see them there working in a shopping mall. But why not in CPS? Trisha Brown Dance Company, pioneers of minimal dance in New York in the 1960s. Here they are hanging off the edge of Tate Modern, or doing something else somewhere else. So these spaces, they're strange, eccentric spaces, narrow spaces, wide spaces. They're all possible to animate through movement, through art, through performance. And if we're going to get rid of some ghosts, and that place, believe me, is full of them, there's nothing better than the old bamboo stage of the Cantonese opera. That really will raise a few figures and let them be free. Or Japanese surf bands. Or the post-punk neo-Brechtian cabaret. Or just straight disco. In residence, well, certainly need a nurse. This is a Native American artist called Skeena Reese, who I've worked with. This performance, she actually got banned from the Museum of American Indian in Washington. And anyone who can do that is a great artist in my book. Or John Bach, a very fascinating German artist, as you can see, a filmmaker, interested in working in different genre film, and we've already been talking to the Goethe Institute about getting him here in a residency where he can work with the Hong Kong film industry. He's very interested in the genre of the criminal film and this kind of thing, so that would be great. Some ideas for exhibitions. Well, Thai Gothic. Chechako, one of the leading painters there. Navin Ranchaiko. The China-Hong Kong Survey. Well, this is based on something I developed when I set up the Mori Art Museum in Tokyo, which was the idea of getting different selectors in each time on a 4-yearly basis to really discuss what they thought was the very, very best going on in all fields of visual culture, not just painting and sculpture, but it could be music videos, it could be animation or whatever, fashion. And then this not only provides a forum for discussion about artistic development, but over the years as it continues, it provides a documentation of that, of the art, but also of the discussion. And we could do the same thing here. The first intellectual, I love it. Peng Yu and Sun Wang, this is a work called the Hong Kong Project that I just presented last year. They're based in Beijing, but they contacted the Filipino maids, and they took 100 of them, and they said, we're not going to give you any money, but we'll just give you a little model hand grenade. Can you go back to your place of work and make it this photograph? Just put this little model hand grenade and photograph, and we'll do a portrait of you as well. So there's 100 of these. It's a great document of Hong Kong living styles. Xu Zhen, Shanghai. This is actually a model of the Patala Palace in Lhasa, out of playing cards. San Kinwa, one of the local artists, Hong Kong-based. It's shown all over the world. A great work based on the Book of Revelations in the Bible. Angela Su, another artist based locally. These amazing drawings of imaginary animals and flora and fauna. Hinzing. There you see Lee Kit. Flipping through quickly. Jitish Kalat. There's Indian and Pakistani art. Xu Bing, one of the 80s generation's Chinese artists, has not had a proper retrospective yet. This is actually in the collection of the Hong Kong Art Museum. These are completely meaningless kanji, a language that he's invented by himself. It looks real. People spend hours trying to read it. A poster he did in 1989 at the time of the June 4th, just before June 4th. And then he was denounced. His work was denounced because it was described as ghost pounding against the wall. So he immediately sent a team of students out to the Great Wall of China to make this vast wall running, and then he left China quickly, and then he came back. During the Cultural Revolution, he'd been sent to a pig farm. So what he didn't know about pigs isn't really worth knowing. And the one we call George actually is got stamps of Roman letters, and the other one's got Chinese letters. Some people say it's about colonialism, but Xu Bing says it's not. It's about pigs. And actually, the reaction of the audience to the awful sound they're making. Square word calligraphy. These, in fact, English words in square word calligraphy. And then his version of Chinese art, which is made in that way. It's a light box and makes it up. It's rubbish. Zhang Beili. Big ideas. This is a show I'm opening in New York in March. I'm just going to flick very quickly through. I like it. It's the idea of getting rid of this kawaii, super cute, geeky idea of contemporary Japanese artists, and actually showing how Japanese artists are very much involved in kind of a critique of their own culture, and they kind of struggle to make something new, kind of real world stuff, not this sort of wacky fantasy. And then lastly, just very, very quickly, a show I'm working with the Council of Europe in, which is a question of values, about why art is important, and really looking back from the Second World War II now, and looking at how the power structures of both East and West mirror each other, and art as being a battlefield. When we talk about values, you might be talking about aesthetic values, but more often than not, people are actually talking about ideological values or market values, about how much something costs. And it starts in '59 with a Soviet-US exchange. That's what they were showing in New York, and that's what the Americans were showing in Moscow. That's the guy who the Russians sent to China to teach the Chinese how to paint in the 50s. Famous picture of that time. But they also showed Mark Rothko and Pollock in Moscow, and these 2 or 3 pictures actually changed the face of Russian art at that time. And Picasso also got in there. And really here we're looking at heroes and anti-heroes. That's one of the themes. George Baselitz is called one of the hero pictures that he made, coming out from the East, based on socialist realism you'd seen there. Saving the Planet, there's Picasso's peace picture. Nikita Sanfal's great work about the Cuban Missile Crisis. You can see Castro and Khrushchev and Jackie Kennedy in those masks there. Robert Rauschenberg, the space race, and any number of pictures of Yuri Gagarin. Joseph Beuys, self-explanatory, how to explain paintings to a dead hair. Goddess of Freedom over Vietnam, extremely ironical picture. And we had Maoism in Europe too. Maoist painting by Jörg Immendorf from the early 70s. Immendorf is a very extremely well-known established artist. These are Russian non-official works, hardly known in the West at all. This is capitalist realism from Gerhard Richter, and pop art. The two are more or less the same thing. And that's sots art from the Russian side, and that from the Chinese side. And then when the wall comes down in '89, the wall might come down in Europe, but you have China Avant-Garde exhibition, this critical exhibition, just outside Tiananmen Square, and then, of course, you have June 4th. So this is what was going on in Serbia in the early 90s, some of the Chinese art of that period, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So Dong eating the city. Looking at power again, Putin in the style of a gulag tattoo. Paul McCarthy last time, the ship of fools, ship adrift. Or is it a meltdown or transcendence? Well, watch this space. We'll begin to find out. Thank you very much.
Well, it's good that the CEO of the Jockey Club has arrived as well. I'm sitting next to me and said, who's going to pay for all of that? And he said we can ask that question to Mike Moore after our break time. So I like to hear from Mike, definitely. I've written down a couple of questions like, can I take my dogs inside the compound? Who's going to pay for David Elliott's plans here? And how it's going to be operated? Who's going to make those art choices? How we're going to operate the site? It all looks very nice. We're all very excited. But so how's this going to work? But there's a lot more questions you're all going to have as well. So we're going to take a break. This model here, we're going to move that over here in the middle.